Our next speaker is the VP of Global Revenue Marketing at Gainsight. He briefly considered a stint in the culinary world as a pastry chef, and then obviously ended up in marketing. Logical step, right? His main goal is now to make scalable customer success a reality for every SaaS company out there. And every type of customer needs to be gained with some healthy insights. He also has a very healthy LinkedIn addiction, which I think most of us have. He's going to be talking about the 10 laws of community. Please welcome onto the stage, Remco de Vries. There's a big green button, that's the next one, just so you know.
I know.
Just before we head into your speech, we're going to be talking about community today. Where does a feeling for community come for you?
I think mostly we call it a sense of belonging, so that you feel like you're part of something that is actually also you and it's benefiting you as a human being, not necessarily as a professional or anything else. I would say that's the majority of the thing. Like the feeling you have when you're playing football games with your soccer team. Like you're an actual part of the team, you know the guys very well, you have beers after the match, it's your space.
I love that, being part of a team. Okay, Remco, take it away. One more round of applause, please.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. So for those wondering, the song was The Gift That Keeps on Giving, which is Bad Bunny. If you haven't listened to Bad Bunny, shame on you. Go listen to him now. Also, he has a new album out, which has me addicted since yesterday. So a very short period of time, but it's already very impactful on my life. I will skip all this very briefly, because the introduction was all-encompassing, I think, but this is my community, so this is also a community. I think it's also good to realize that communities in general, everybody has them already, whether it's from a professional perspective or personal. So these are my kids, me with a better tan and a better hair day, and my girlfriend. I think you should also just have the perspective of community as you try to understand it from a professional sense. Sorry, skipped words there. That it's not really that much different from how you build communities in your personal life, and it also shouldn't be. So what I will try to speak about today are 3 things. So first, I'm going to try and tell you why communities matter. Are there companies here that already have a customer community? Raise your hand. Good. Nice. Huh? Pretty good, I would say. So I'm hoping to teach you something new, but also hoping to convince the rest that this is actually one of the most important things you can do for business results. Then I'll be talking about the 10 laws in community. I won't give you all of them. These are also part of a book. It's a little bit of a theme. We're launching the book in November, so I'm going to give you some, but not all of them, because obviously we still want you to purchase the book. I'm a marketer as well. And then finally, I'm going to try and explain how community can help you solve what I think is the most annoying problem of digital businesses, which is the fragmented customer journey that you get when you have all of these tools, all of these logins, all of these platforms that you're expecting your customer to use. And I'll try to do it in 15 minutes, in 19 seconds. It's going to be tough. So let's start light with a little bit of philosophy. Man is by nature a social animal. This is Aristotle, by the way. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Just to say, making these connections, having a community, being engaged with each other, this is human nature. This is normal to us. We will also always try and attempt to do that. It's not something that we have to be taught. And I think this is also reflected in the world right now as we go through difficult times, right? Like COVID, economic recession, all of these things. The need for community or making these connections is actually only growing. So there are a bunch of reports on here. I won't cover all of them, but the one I really like is the one in the middle. So loneliness or not having these connections has the same impact on your life expectancy as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. How good is that? I don't know how they researched this, but it's a great thing for me in my talks at least. And it makes it seem very unhealthy, right? Not having these connections. And I think it is, so it's true. And this is on a global scale, so this is outside world, not really outside in, not our businesses, right? But in general, we're also experiencing these things and we're seeing these types of fellowships already in our company. So you probably also have a VP of marketing or something that that basically is telling you that they're meant to be here because they believe in the product or they love working with the team. So they feel this sense of belonging that I mentioned earlier. Or you have a VP of CS that basically is saying, my job sucks because I have to talk to customers. They're churning, they're angry, product's not working with me. But at least there are others in the industry that are experiencing the same. So basically they have peers. It's kind of like therapy, right? So it's definitely helping them out. Or your CFO that basically is saying that we share a common goal, purpose, etc. And it's also being enforced by people that, for example, invest in your companies. So we also see Bessemer, which is a large VC firm, tell their portfolio companies that they expect in the next 5 years, I think it says, that more than 50% of all startups will at least have a function that is thinking about community or a platform or anything else by the time that they cross 5 million in revenue. So actually pretty early on, which is good. So I'm going to talk about community, and I'm going to try to tell you that community is not just about lofty goals of connecting people together and stuff that you cannot measure, because your CEO is basically going to laugh in your face when you're trying to get budget, like, I don't know, 100K or more for a project that is not going to actually tie into some of the revenue goals that you have. So I will actually say that community helps you with, for example, NRR, which we all want, like GRR, NRR. It's actually highly correlated. We have a bunch of research that I can share with you later to customer engagement. So making sure that you are actually talking to your customers, staying engaged, helping them get through tough times, being an actual partner. This is a super strong correlation, and this engagement is something that customer success teams especially are striving for. Highly correlated to NRR and also very easy to achieve with a community platform or at least a community program. Also, we heard April speak about product no longer being the single differentiator when there's thousands of products, like on the one slide that she presented, right? So community actually helps you scale the customer experience, which is the true differentiator, by making sure that you are the one that's facilitating all of these meaningful connections for people and offering a great customer experience, or at least adding this little bit of extra to your brand in terms of an experience. And then the final one is CAC. Everyone knows what CAC is, hopefully. Customer acquisition costs, yes, hopefully. You should, because your investors really care about it right now. And especially also cost to serve. And I think we've gone through a few things globally, like COVID, for example, where we needed to focus on these things, but also an economic recession now, where you're just expected to do more with less. We've all heard this sentence. Very annoying. But this cost to serve, and especially from a do more with less perspective, you need a scalable way to actually do more with less. And I think community is one of these programs, tools, platforms that can actually help you scale more things at once and be a great attribute to your business. And the reason why is this, and the reason why is you as a human being. So not the account that you're working on as a customer success professional or the VP of marketing that is your target persona. No, actually you as a human being that is actually making these connections or participating in this community like SaaSiest today. Maybe some of you are here because your boss told you to, but honestly, I expect most of you to be here because you're wanting to learn and you're hoping to expand your knowledge, be a better professional, or meet people that you know or don't know yet, which would be even better. And it's better, and it's about you because it's about collaboration, which you are doing. It's about your career. It's about the connection that you are making with other people. And those only exist because of you. So that's why I think community has this unique space and this unique value lever to achieve all of these things. And it hasn't always, that didn't work. Pressed the wrong button even. It hasn't always been the case. We haven't really appreciated the you factor, I think, in community. So if you look where we started, all the way on the left, in the 2000s, customer support forums, basically the only goal was to make sure that people stopped calling businesses because calls were very expensive. I think I used to work at KPN here in the Netherlands. Dutch people will know the company. I think back in the day, a call, even if the rep picked up, it cost us like €5. It was very expensive. So we wanted people to stop calling because money flowing out of the business, right? Had nothing to do with connections or you or anything else. It was just a deflection tool. Then we moved on to 2016, massive jump, there we go. And it started being a little bit more about digital engagement, product feedback. We started talking to our customers a little bit more. This is when you saw marketers say at every event that you should be speaking to your customers, as if this was a mind-blowing concept, right? And then in 2020, we're talking a little bit more about customer lifecycle, engagement, and customer hub, which I will cover a little bit in a second. And this is mostly driven by the growth in customer success and actually having a function that cares about these customer relationships and actually tries to monetize them also in some ways. And then 2027 plus, which is an arbitrary number that I just came up with, we have community everywhere, which means that all functions of your business are actually engaged in some way or another with customers and your customer community to actually be more successful. This means that we need to change our ways, so we need to actually continue to move. I will cover a few of those in the interest of time, but basically scattered and loose programs, community becomes a company-wide program. Everyone should be involved. All departments should actually be involved. Even the product team that doesn't want more customer feedback, they should still be involved. No more focus on member growth, for example. I think a lot of you that have a community probably also have been focused on this in the past. I don't actually really care about member growth when it comes to communities. If you have 1,000 members, if 3 months later it's 1,010, it doesn't really matter. The thing that really matters is the value that everyone's getting from it. So it's really going to be a little bit more about focus on business outcomes, right? And I want to cover those, so I'm going to move on from the slide pretty quickly. So how do you get started in the right way? And this is where I'll cover the laws. I'm going to give you 5 of them. I think that's a fair trade-off, right? Trying to get a little bit of an expectation of you to actually eventually be interested in the book and giving you a little bit of free content. So community, you can start anytime. I think this is very important to realize. A lot of companies ask me the question, are we big enough to start a community? Do we have enough customers to start a community? Yes, you do. You can start super early, really fast. You can only start with 10 customers and get massive amounts of value. There's no breaking point where you actually have to figure that out. And I would say that that's also the death of communities. And I would rival any speaker today to present a worse slide than this. This is the worst thing that I've ever created. But I've left it in also because I think that's kind of fun. The death of most communities is expectations, massive expectations. So you start a program, your CEO comes up to you and is like, okay, fine. So in 3 months, we'll have 50% of our customers on the community, right? Right? And you say yes because it's your CEO. You're scared of him or her. So you definitely want to say yes and at least try and achieve it. That's the wrong way to approach this. You need to start slow and small and literally start with the 10 customers and make sure that it's valuable for them. And then you add 20 more or 30 more and you make sure that it's valuable for them. And then you look back at the 40 customers that you had and you get them engaged so you can add 50 more and make sure that it's valuable for them. It's a slow burn, but that's actually what's going to make it very, or at least the most valuable to your company and the least risk of the community program actually dying. So that's law number 1. Law number 4 is create content that educates and inspires. And this might be an open door, but to be honest, if I look at the B2B marketing landscape and also community landscape, just content creation in general, I would say that most companies still don't do this. I think there needs to be like a general rule, potentially, I don't know, maybe the marketing leader getting fired if they don't stick to it. But if you create content, it's either inspirational, they like it, or it's fun, like you're helping your customers out and you're making it worth their time to read it, or it's educational and they actually get better. If it's neither or not one of those, don't do it. Like there's no point. All of these ebooks that we're putting out in the world, etc., nobody cares about it. And specifically for community, I think it's good to think out of the box. My time has turned orange now. It's stressing me out. And you're not limited to any type of format, right? So this is a customer of ours that have a customer community. It's KPN, actually. I work there. It's not really a link, I promise. But they created an escape room on a community platform. So this says in Dutch, escape the forum. They still call it a forum, which is I hate it, trying to get them to change that. But basically what they did is just create an online flow. It was super simple with 2 developers. It took them like a couple of hours through the community that took like old members and super users of the community, etc., through areas that they probably hadn't seen before or events in the community that were significant in its history. And it was just aimed to be fun, to do something fun for community members. Just make sure that they log in again the next day, right? There was no other angle or anything of that. So you can think out of the box, and I think it's important to also do so. Everybody owns community. I touched on this a little bit. This is probably one of the biggest unanswered questions is which department should start a community. When I was still working for Insighted before Gainsight acquired us, that was a community software company, we used to say that it didn't really matter. We chose customer success because it was just easier for us to tell a great positioning story, as April said. But I think in general, it can start anywhere. Just pick a team and they can go. I listed a bunch of other things. And product, for example, is also a really great thing. Just wanted to give an example that we don't see enough, but I think truly having a customer-driven roadmap is something that a community can definitely help you out with. This is Pipify, they're one of our customers. And basically what they do on their community, they just have an open idea pipeline that basically just has submitted ideas by their customers. Customers are voting on them, the team of Pipify is engaging with them, and then they take things under considerations, because customers can also follow that funnel, and then they release them. And it's a great story, and they tell the community that they released it, and it was based on their ideas or their community feedback. It's great. Your customers will love you for this. Law number 8, centralize it all in a customer hub. And this is where I would like to remind you of the 2027 Community Everywhere goal. I think community needs to get away from this stigma of it being a forum or just a single program or an offline event that you're doing. It needs to become a wider perspective. And from a customer success perspective, we try to envision that a little bit in the digital customer success and also just in general digital platform revolution that a lot of teams are going through right now. So what you see here is the customer journey that you have at some point, and a lot of your companies probably also have, when you invest in all of these tools, right? You need in-app, and you need LMSs, and you need a CRM, and then you need a community, and then you need a product feedback tool, support tickets through Zendesk, everything else. But the problem is that they're all in a different location. Some of them have a different login. Your customers need to make sure that they have the link bookmarked to go somewhere. It's very difficult, and it's making your digital journey also very fragmented. So what we came up with is you can actually think about community as a customer hub in a sense. So this is the one location where you centralize all of your customer content, your LMSs, your education, your courses, your fun, your events. Everything is centralized in one location, so your customers always know where to go. It's very simple. It's centralized on your website as well, and you no longer have to answer those questions. It's pretty easy, and it's also easier for you and your customer success team or anyone else to make this a part of your customer journey, right? You don't have to have 15 email flows for 15 different tools. I will cover this very briefly, but you have to make sure that it's part of an integrated stack. That's the kind of goal here. So on the left, you see digital experiences, including community, and then on the right, you see scale your teams, and on the bottom, leverage new powers, because we also have AI now that we need to fit in somewhere, right? So it all needs to make sense and needs to be integrated so your customer doesn't have to worry about it. And then the final law, which I think is the most important one, is drive real business results. And what I mean by that is that you need to start balancing actual outcomes, so business outcomes or customer outcomes, versus, I would say, leading indicators of health, community health. What I mean by community health is how many members are signing up, how many customer accounts, percentage-wise, are currently active in your community. How is it doing in terms of like peer-to-peer support rate? How many topics are getting replies, for example? Like those kinds of things. I think those are measures by health, but they are not measures of actual business outcomes in terms of like scale and efficiency, NRR that we mentioned earlier, cost to serve, retention, etc. You need to find a good balance there, and you also need to find a way to actually have those numbers, because that's also part of the death of communities, is not having those numbers and not being able to explain this actual business value will get your CFO to kill it very quickly. Or I always have this thing with CFOs where you notice their eyebrows. Do you have the same? Because they're always raised. Like every question you asked, their eyebrows go up, and it's like, oh, do we really need to do this? So definitely make sure that you're avoiding that situation. So a good example there, for example, in terms of scale and efficiency, is a leading indicator, for example, is views of helpful content or percentage of your customer questions marked as actually answered. Very good from a community health perspective, but tied to that, there is actually potentially a decrease in support volumes, ticket volumes, those kinds of things, and also a decrease in cost to serve. So that's the actual business value that you need to tie to these things. And the other one is expansion, which I know is a great topic in customer success right now in terms of how should we do it, how do we identify the right expansion opportunities, etc. Well, a leading indicator could be community qualified leads. So your community actually coming up, or at least people engaging with content on your community that gives you the idea that they might be open for either an expansion, purchase, going from a free plan to a paid plan, which is what Gong's doing a lot. But a lagging indicator there could be like pipeline growth, percentage increase of NRR. These are all very easy to tie together. And we actually also have a bunch of customers and probably also well-known brands that you will know as well that are actually actively doing this. So Gong actually is focusing a lot on upsell through community. So what they're basically saying is people that are active in the community have a 3 times higher chance to upsell to our paid plan from our free product. It's massive commercial value, and it's only done by having a great community program. And the Chibo, for example, 96% of their support volumes is actually handled by the community, not by their team, which is a lot of time for their customer success team to focus on something else. I'm so running out of time. It's really bad, and this is the wrong button. So I think in general, community needs to be a little bit more ingrained in your business. You're an influencer as well. This is and more focused on you is what I was trying to say. This is the Gong Influencer Club, basically where they have customers sign up to be to get some questions from them, to share stuff, do things with other customers, get connected to peers, and then basically eventually also they have an upsell target to that. And also, and I'm going to skip this thing, but I'm going to send hopefully the deck later because I think this one's really important. Also, when you're launching new features from a product marketing perspective, like the talk we had earlier, feature communities are becoming a thing. So that's very important as well. I wanted to leave you with 4 things. The first one is slow the hell down, take your time to build it right. As I said, you're building a community for customers, so for the love of God, just involve them when you do it, even if it's a platform choice or anything else. Just make sure that they're part of the conversation. If you're doing it alone, it's probably going to fail. There's no progress without goals, so define a goal. It doesn't have to be all of the goals, but a goal, get started, get it solved, move on to the rest. And no community has 100K members in one day, so don't expect that. You won't either. Your company is not going to be the unicorn that actually achieves this. So reflect on that and make sure that you adjust accordingly. And don't give up, because community is 100% worth it. We're releasing this thing in November, so if you're interested, definitely be on the look for it. And that's it.